Welcome back. It's time to talk about Styrenix Performance now. Company's board has approved the acquisition of INEOS Styrolution Thailand via step-down subsidiary. To discuss this and more, let's get in Mr. Rahul Agrawal, the MD of the company, joining us now. Mr. Agrawal, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, if you look at the consideration, it's around $20 million. So you're paying around 160 crore rupees for a company with revenues anywhere between 1,000 to 1,800 crore rupees. That's the financial performance for the last 3 years. On what basis did you reach this valuation? Is the company loss-making? What are the margins and bottom line for the acquired company?
Good afternoon, Sonal. Thank you for having me on the show. This acquisition is a strategically very important acquisition for us. There are a lot of opportunities which come as a result of this acquisition. We get access to additional ABS and SAN capacities in Thailand, which also gives us a lot of market access. They are a specialty ABS producer. There are not many specialty ABS production companies in the region. This is one of the few that we identified, and we were able to go through with this. In terms of technologies, also there are some very key technologies which are present and part of this deal. These technologies will enable us to, add more products in our existing portfolio, better service our automotive, household, and other appliance customers. And finally, in terms of a lot of synergies we will get across the group in terms of market access for products produced in India as well as products produced in Thailand. There has been some volatility, as you have rightly pointed out, in their performance, in terms of how they are placed. But we do intend, with the synergies that are present between Styrenix in India and the company in Thailand, that we would be able to generate significant value out of this deal.
Mr. Agrawal, thank you so much. You've explained the rationale of the deal quite well. In terms of numbers, like you mentioned, volatility over there. Last 3 years, when you're actually looking at the top line, there has been a degrowth over there. In terms of operational performance, can you help us with the operational numbers, the EBITDA numbers, the bottom line numbers? Is there a loss? And, when you're looking at this particular acquisition, it's come quite cheap for you. So what was, the reason why you got such a good asset, like you mentioned, at such a good rate?
So, Vivek, thanks for your question. Now, as you recollect, we had also acquired the business in India from INEOS. And when we had acquired this business about 2 years ago, prior to that also there was significant volatility in the business here, which if you look at our track record in the last 2 years, a lot of that volatility has ceased to exist. We believe that, Thailand will pose similar opportunities for us. And we will be able to use what we have done here, to improve the situation in Thailand as well. In terms of revenue numbers, as you know, in 20 and 21, these were during COVID period where there were significant supply chain disruptions globally, and the revenues were high across the board for a lot of chemicals and specialty chemical companies, and
yes.
Thailand was no different from that context. I think on a normalized basis, we would look at performance which is better than what is currently there. However, that of course will be ironed out, as we get closer to closing. So right now,
yes, Mr. Agrawal, we do get that point. It is not possible because there have been a lot of fluctuations in the industry as well. That is what we've seen in the chemical space. Just wanted to understand what is the bottom line and the operational. What are the margins that this particular company enjoyed? Let's put it that way, because that's not publicly available.
Yeah, so some of this information currently is governed by an NDA between us and INEOS, and we are at liberty to discuss a lot of the numbers, subsequent to closing. However, in terms of operationally, the EBITDA is neutral right now for the current year, and we do believe that there is a significant room for upward.
Is it a profit-making company that you have acquired?
Like I said, it's neutral. It's EBITDA neutral, so there is no profit or loss as of now. Okay,
on the bottom line as well.
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Agrawal, give us a sense. FY25, you are expecting, we understand, to close it, in Q4 of FY25. So, number one, do the financials kick in as far as FY25 is concerned? What was the earlier guidance you were working with in terms of revenues, margin, as well as bottom line? With this coming in, directionally, could you give us some number, or what could be the incremental growth that you could see both for FY25 as well as FY26?
So FY25, we had explained that we would be having a significant volume augmentation in our capacities in India. The revenues would fall in line with the volumes that we have. As you know, a lot of the pricing for our products depends on the as a function of raw materials as well on the inputs, which can be volatile from time to time. However, we do believe that on a volume-wise, we will have a growth in this year along the lines of the volume growth, which we have already mentioned earlier to the markets. In terms of margins as well, on an annualized basis, we will see some margin improvement over previous year, and again, in line with whatever revenue numbers that we would be able to achieve in this year. As far as the Thailand entity and consolidation of that entity into this company is concerned, I think it would be a little early to explain to you how on a consolidated level those revenues and bottom lines would look for in 25. Also, the first real year that we will get is 25-26, and in that we do expect to be some positive contribution coming in from Thailand into at a consolidated level.
So you will be funding this acquisition entirely by cash in your books. What's the current number?
So there will be internal accruals and potentially some bank borrowings as well, depending on whatever we believe is prudent as far as maintaining the right discipline for this kind of an activity is concerned in the company. The total consideration is about $20 million for the plant and machinery and the business in Thailand, as you have correctly pointed, and there could be some small kind of corrections to this number, but this is what it is. This is what has been agreed between us and INEOS, and at the time of closing, again, depending on whatever the prevailing exchange rate is.
Understood that, Mr. Agrawal. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving some clarity, but we are awaiting a lot more clarity, especially in terms of what is it that the acquired entity can contribute to your own consolidated financials going forward. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, moving on, it's now time to take a quick break. We'll get you more on the markets and stock-specific action on the other side.